How many people in here want a new season in their life? Anybody want a new season? I think all of us can probably look at some part of our lives and say, I want this season or this part of my life to be new. I want to move into a new season. And we're going to start a series probably for the next 3 weeks, and it's going to be called The Enemies of New. The Enemies of New. I believe there's a time in all of our lives, and the last 2 weeks, praying over our church and over where we're going, and even in my own life, I really have a strong sense that God is leading us as a church, and I have a strong sense that He's leading some people in our church into a new season in their life. And not only just a new season. When we say a new season, we talked about the definition of the word new means fresh. But I really believe, and I'm just sensing that God's going to move us into seasons where it's going to bring some big changes in our life, big changes in our church, bring big changes in our life. And then if you look into Scriptures, we're going to look at different examples in the Scriptures where there was a certain time, a certain point in people's lives where God had prepared them through what they went, and then there was a change that He was trying to take them into a new season in their life, and it brought huge life changes. And I believe there's going to be a time in all of our lives, whether we let God take us or not, that He wants to take us into these certain new seasons into our life where a lot of stuff in our life changes. We're going to look at that today. Open up to Matthew chapter 4. We're going to call it the enemies of new, because we're going to talk about those enemies that when God starts to move us into a new season in our life in different areas, that will threaten us to stop us from moving to that point. What are those things that stop us? Now, the word enemy is something or someone that threatens or harms something or something else. God's trying to bring us into a new season, and the enemy's trying to bring enemies that's going to threaten us in our mind from moving into this new season, or it's going to try to harm us from going into these new seasons in our life. Matthew chapter 4. Now we're gonna at the end of this, we're gonna tie in this passage of Scripture into Father's Day. Matthew chapter 4. We'll start at verse 18. Now, to set this up a little bit, this passage of Scripture is about the disciples when Jesus first called them. So up to this point, these disciples that Jesus is going to call, they were fishermen. This was their job. This is what they did their whole life. This is all they knew. They were fishermen. And through this job, it says that, you'll see later on, it says that a couple of these disciples were in the boat with their father in the fishing business. So they were out fishing. Jesus came to the point in His ministry where now He's going to start going out, and then He wants to start recruiting people to go with Him in this ministry that He has. And so it says, I'm going to read out of the Message Bible here because I like what it says. Matthew chapter 4, verse 18. Walking along the beach of Lake Galilee, Jesus saw two brothers, Simon, later called Peter, and Andrew. They were fishing, throwing their nets into the lake. It was their regular work. Jesus said to them, "Come with me. I'll make a new kind of fisherman out of you." I love that part in this Bible. I'm going to make a new type of fisherman out of you. I'll show you how to catch men and women instead of perch and bass. Outdoorsmen, you love that verse. They didn't ask questions, but simply dropped their nets and followed. I want you to notice this. It says they didn't ask questions, but simply dropped their nets and followed. Now today we're going to talk about fear. The first enemy we're going to talk about in this series is fear being an enemy to stop you from going into your new season. And the title of this message is going to be called No Questions Asked. It says they didn't ask any questions. They simply dropped their nets and they left. A short distance down the beach, they came upon another pair of brothers, James and John, Zebedee's sons. These two were sitting in a boat with their father Zebedee, mending their fish nets. Jesus made the same offer to them, and they were just as quick to follow, abandoning boat and father. They left their boat and they left their father. which probably owned the business. Okay, now these men were grown men. Okay, so this isn't just a bunch of kids in the boat with dad fishing and having fun. Like Elijah and I went fishing again yesterday, and he caught a sucker fish for the first time by himself, and he was all excited. We were having fun. This isn't what this is. This is their work. They're adults. You would think that, I'm telling you, I have to tell you this, it cracks me up when I knew it was going to happen. We got out there and threw the pole out first, and probably wasn't even 3 minutes later, this is what Elijah was saying. You can guess it. I'm bored, and can I reel it in and throw it back out again? I said, you got to keep it out. The fish can't bite unless the pole's out there. But that's just what little kids do. Little kids get impatient, they get antsy, and this isn't just these young kids with their father in the boat fishing, having fun, and Jesus comes along and says, hey, I'm going to teach you how to fish for someone else, and they're just little kids. Okay, Dad, see you later, we're going to go with him. No, these are men, these are adults, this was their job, this was their livelihood. It says that they were just as quick to leave. They left their father because Jesus asked them to follow. They didn't ask any questions. And then it says from there, Jesus went all over Galilee. He used the synagogues for meeting places and taught people the truth of God, and they went with them. Okay, first thing I want you to see here, before we get into fear, is you'll see in every single instance in the Bible when God is trying to move someone into a new season in their life, where there'll be lots of big changes in their life, He will first give them a glimpse of where He's taking them. And there's a few reasons for that. He goes to them and He says, hey, follow me. But He doesn't just say, follow me. He says, this is what I'm going to do. And He gives them a word picture of where He's taking them. He says, follow me. I'm going to make you a fisher of men now. He's starting to kind of put the details into place. I'm going to make you a fisher of men, and I'm going to teach you how to teach. I'm going to teach you how to catch people instead of perch and bass. So He gives them a glimpse of where they're going. I'm going to make a whole different type of fisherman out of you. And at this point, they really didn't understand that Jesus was God. They didn't understand that I'm following God right now. They just thought they were following this man named Jesus. But He gave them a picture, and He does the same thing with us because He knows that if He doesn't give us a glimpse of where we're going, we got nothing to hold on to when we're crossing over into this new season. And I believe it's one of the reasons why maybe they didn't ask questions is because they had an interesting picture where God was saying, okay, I'm going to take you here, and this is what it could be like. He'll always do that for us. He'll give you a vision. He'll give you details. He'll put stuff on your heart and say, okay, I'm going to move you to this place, but here's where I want you to go, and it'll be general. God never gives you all the details. He gives you all the details, and He knows you'll never do it. Because what He doesn't tell you is, I'm going to take you here, and then you're going to deal with this, you're going to do that. He said, I'm going to make you fishers of men, and I'm going to take you in this new season, and you're going to be fishing for people. But He didn't tell them that they were going to come against people that were just going to snub them. He didn't tell them that they're going to come against people that are just going to be totally rotten against them, because they think, oh, I'm just following Jesus, this is going to be all fun, and then they're going to walk up on a person that's got a demon, and they're going, what in the world? He didn't know any of that. He didn't tell them any of that because He knew if they did, they would never go there. And so He doesn't give us all the details. He just says, here, I'm going to take you here. He'll always give us a glimpse. He'll always give us a glimpse of where we're going so that we have something to keep our eyes on during the transition, and so we can navigate all the elements that would try to keep us and enemies to go into the next season. It's a lot easier for me to navigate these enemies if I know a little bit about where I'm going. So He'll always give us a glimpse. He'll always give us a glimpse. The other thing that I want to bring out in this is that one of the things that amazed me about these disciples is that they didn't know He was God. So it wasn't like they said, okay, I'm following God. He's got all the details all planned out. If He says I'm going to go here, then I'm just going to trust Him, and He's got all the details. No, it didn't say it. It was just this man named Jesus that said, go here. But the application to us is when Jesus says, follow me into this new season, we have to trust that He's God and that He knows He's got all the details all planned out. What you have to hold on to as you transition and you have this glimpse of where you're going is that whatever details come along, whatever problems you face, whatever circumstances that will come along, God already has it planned out to navigate you through it. You just have to follow him. Now, I'm looking at this word follow, and I'm thinking up to this point when I read this verse, Jesus is walking away and he's going like this. Come on, and they get up and follow. But the more I read about this, the more I think what Jesus was saying to them is that, but it's also like Jesus is saying, come here. I'll stand right here. Now when I walk here, stay right here. And when I walk here, stay right here. And when I walk here, stay right here. And then when I go like this and you don't understand it, stay right here. He's saying, follow me. Not, come on, you're way behind. He's saying, you better stick close right next to me because I'm going to navigate you through every detail. And you've got to trust that this glimpse I'm giving you is where you're going, and that I got it all planned out. Don't worry about the details. Just follow me. But fear is an enemy that will always try to harm or threaten you from going to this place. And here's the reason why. Fear will come when you don't have all the details filled in. So he says, here's where I'm taking you. He said to the disciples, come follow me. I'm going to make you fishers of men. It's amazing to me that these men just didn't ask any questions. Why? How could you not ask any questions? There's so many details that are not filled in here. How could you not ask questions? If Jesus came to me and I was in my livelihood with my Father standing there and he's looking at it and Jesus says, follow me, and you're good at going. And you want to say this because you want your dad to do this too. So where are we going? You want your dad to feel comfortable too because you want him to know that you're coming back. So how long are we going to be gone for? You got to ask all these questions because you want to know where you're going. You want to know all these details. How could they not ask any questions? It says they simply did not ask any questions. They had so much faith that they just said, okay, here we go. I don't know how we're going to make money anymore. And the other thing is, you have to understand, there's so many more details to the story than what they create in this. These people have lives. They have families. They have wives. They have finances. They have things that they're responsible for. And Jesus is just saying, get up and go. And how could you not ask any questions? Every married man in here would know that how could you not turn and say, hey, let me call my wife real fast. Let me go home and ask my wife if I could just leave my job.
What about my house payment?
What about this? Do you understand now? There's so many more details of this story. And he's saying, I got it all worked out. Don't worry about it. I got it all worked out. I'll talk to the wife. And I don't believe it was really that easy because we're not going to talk about this today. But you'll see that in John chapter 5 later on, after they went with Jesus, they actually went back to their work. Because Jesus had to go back again and say, hey, you guys aren't catching anything? Well, there's a reason for that. So you see now, fear is an enemy that will stop you from going into the next season because you don't know all the details. It will stop you, it will threaten you, it will try to harm you from going into the next season of your life. Fear. In every instance, you will see that fear always tried to stop people. I'm going to go through, every week I'm going to go through a different example, but I'm going to hit on a few today, really shortly, just so you see what I'm talking about. When Joshua was getting ready to go into the promised land, it was about ready to change his entire life. Everything about his life was about to change. He went from following Moses to being the leader. Everything about his life was going to change. And you see at the beginning of Joshua chapter 1, 3 times, what did God say to Joshua? Be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear. Be strong and courageous. Because I can guarantee you that Joshua was standing there and he was going, I got how many hundreds of thousands of people that I have to lead now? And he's got all these questions. And fear's creeping in. And it doesn't say that Joshua said he was scared. It says that God was saying, do not fear. So you know he was scared. He's asking questions. He simply didn't ask questions, but he had fear in his mind. Now, I want to address this because I said this when I was praying about this message to God as I'm studying for this. I said, God, why can't I question you? Why can't I question you? Is that wrong? Is it wrong to question God? I don't believe it's wrong to question God. David did it. In the Psalms, you see David question God. He questioned himself. Why are you downcast, O my soul? Lord, why? Lord, when? Lord, he always questioned God, and I believe that that's a part of your relationship with God and your intimacy with God is you're questioning God. You can question God all you want. Moses did it. When he came to get Moses and he said, hey, I want you to lead my people out of Egypt and go, Moses had a ton of questions. What happens if they don't listen to me? What did God say? Tell them I am sent you. What happens if I'm this? Well, I'm that. I got all these questions. And did you notice that God didn't get mad until the end there when he kept questioning and questioning and questioning, and finally God said, just go get your brother and get out of here. But it's not wrong to question God. He'll answer your questions. What happens if they don't listen to me? Tell him I am sent you. He'll answer you. Until you start questioning God, you might not get an answer back. You just say, just trust me. Is it wrong to question God? No, because there's always details that are left undone. Don't be afraid to question God, but don't get mad when they don't give you an answer. You might say, okay, you'll be okay. This is going to happen, and give you that glimpse again. But then you might go over and over and over again, and then he'll go, I told you. It was funny because we were talking in our discipleship class. Hey, buddy. We were talking in our discipleship class, and I'll relate this to Father's Day now. We were talking about how I look at, now that I'm a father, I look back on my childhood and the things I thought about certain things growing up, totally different. You never know what it's like until you become a father. You know, you can say, so for example, we were talking about our son, and I say this to Joy all the time, and she'll laugh. There's some of the stuff that my son, Elijah, he'll say and do, and we'll look at each other like, if we did that when I was younger, or said that when I was younger, it'd have been over. It'd have been over. I mean, there's no, like, we always say, you know, if you do that one more time, then I'm going to have to. There wasn't one more time when I was younger. You didn't have to say that because there was one time, and that was it. And even though we always got in trouble because James and I were constantly fighting and arguing, they gave us one look, and it was done. That's just how it was. And back then, when I was younger, I thought, man, you know, that's kind of harsh. That's a little bit excessive. You know, you don't get any room for anything. It's all fun. You do something wrong. But now I look back, and that created a mentality in me with God. Because God, my Father, I related to my Father, my earthly Father. When God told me to do something, it didn't take long for me to do it. And I wasn't perfect. I had my mistakes, believe me. But I look back on it now, and because my parents created that mentality in me that you just do what you're told, and there ain't a second time I'm going to tell you, I did some things that would have created, that kept me out of a lot of trouble. I obeyed God in some areas that I saw in the Word because I had a healthy fear of God, because I had a healthy fear of my dad. When he said to do it, you do it. When God said to do it, you do it. And it kept me out of some trouble that might have caused consequences in my life for the rest of my life. And so, I'm thankful now when I look back. I don't look at that as excessive. I look at back now and I say, thank you, God, that you had parents that might have seemed excessive to me at the time, but now I understand. And I'm looking back now at my son Elijah, and even this little one that's going to be coming up here, and I'm thinking, okay, I might need to adjust some things because he's going to look at God like he looks at me. Fear will stop you from moving into your new season. Right now, I believe that God's trying to move people here in our church into a whole new season where things will look a lot different. There's going to be a lot of details that you have right now that will not be filled in. And if it wasn't, it wouldn't be faith. Fear will stop you. The details, think about it right now. Is God moving you into a new season? If He is, what details don't you have? What details don't you have? Is there finances involved? What if we don't have the finances? The thing about faith is that it is never comfortable. Have you ever had to be in a faith situation where you were comfortable? I have never been in a faith situation where I was comfortable. Ever. Because faith means there's always details missing. There's always details missing. And it will not be comfortable. There's times where God will ask you to do things, and it will take you, and you know it's going to take you to a place that is uncomfortable. It might take you to a place that will cause us to have to do hard things and make hard decisions. God sometimes asks us to do things, and it's going to be uncomfortable. But to get to the new, how bad do we want to get into the new? I believe there's a lot of people that live their whole life, and God opens up doors for them to go into new places, and they never do it because they want to stay comfortable. Is there anything wrong with comfortable? No, there's nothing wrong with comfortable. Comfortable is great. How many people agree that comfortable is great? I love comfortable. Who would rather sit in the house with air conditioning than go out in the 95-degree heat? I want to stay comfortable. But the picnic's outside. The picnic's outside underneath the tent, and you can't go out. You can't get what's at the picnic until you go outside in the 95-degree heat. I love comfortable, but the thing that I just don't like about the Bible sometimes is that it hardly ever encourages us to stay comfortable. He'll let us stay comfortable for a time, but He won't let us stay there very long.